Hello friends, welcome back to another ridiculously hot day in Brisbane. So today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 aerospace movies that are a must-see. Now, because of legal restrictions, I actually can't show you any part of any of the films, but that's okay because knowing me, I would pick a really awesome part or my favorite part, which would probably ruin the movie for you. So I guess it's sort of a good thing. But what I will do is I'll give you the movie poster to my left or your right. So starting at number 10. Apollo 11. Now, Apollo 11 is essentially all of the footage from the actual Apollo 11 flight that wasn't shown to everyone. And it's such good quality. And that's because obviously they did everything on film. And when it's scaled down, it scales down pretty terribly. But it's really interesting and a really great movie for anyone either wanting to show their kids about what happened with all the space exploration sort of things with the first man on the moon, what happened in 1969 with space. It's actually a well-rounded movie about everything that happened. So I'd highly recommend it for anyone who just wants to get to know and understand what actually happened in that period of time. Number 9, Sunshine. How do I put Sunshine into words? It's a group of astronauts flying towards the sun to help save Earth that get distracted by a previous mission that was trying to do the same thing. I think that's the best way to sort of put it down into like a little nutshell without giving anything away, because it's a really interesting concept for like a sci-fi movie. And I just really enjoyed it. Like it's the whole space exploration side of it, I think, was done really well. And it's kind of far-fetched what actually happens, but it's still sort of like on the good side. Like it's a good sci-fi movie. Definitely a good movie to watch. Number 8, Hidden Figures. So Hidden Figures is about the women behind the space race, essentially. So this was purely about getting a man into space and about how these women were so smart, but because of their race and ethnicity, they were kind of kept in the shadows. And it's based on a true story about what actually happened with those women back in the day. So if you are either wanting to show a daughter or a female person in your life how awesome space is and how much women have actually done towards space, even back then, it's really great to help push women and girls into STEM and into science. It's a great way of showing like what they can do and what can actually happen. So it's definitely up there on the movies to watch. Number 7, Moon. Now, if you haven't seen Moon, or you don't know about Moon, it is essentially Sam Rockwell, the only person in the entire movie, and it is literally just him on the moon. And I feel like it starts off a bit slow, but by the time you get to the end of it, you kind of realize, holy crap, he's a great actor and should have won an Oscar for his performance, because it is that good and is that good of a movie that you kind of sit there and you're like, wow. And especially since it was made so long ago and now watching it in 2021, you're sort of like, I could actually see that happening, which is kind of scary. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, definitely go give it a watch because it is worth it. Number 6, Apollo 13. So Apollo 13 follows just that, the Apollo 13 astronauts, but Tom Hanks is in it. And Tom Hanks is a great actor. And they do really well to talk about everything that actually happened during that entire mission. It is honestly a great movie, and it's suspenseful, but in a good way. So it's, again, based on a true story and done really well. Number 5, Wally. So Wally is a Disney film, and yes, it is high up there on my list because it is a great movie. If you haven't seen Wally, I don't know who you are, because it is an amazing movie. It is essentially about a robot named Wally who is left on planet Earth to essentially clean up the mess that humans made. And all the humans leave Earth and go into space. And they send down robots every so often to see if there is any plant life left on Earth. And Wally, it's about Wally and how he finds pretty much a plant, and he falls in love with a robot that is there to find plants. And so it's a cute love story while also showing what the human race could easily do to the Earth and how it could become. So it's probably a really good movie, intuitive-wise, of what actually could happen. But it's also a great kids movie. So if you've got kids, that is the movie to watch. If you don't have kids, watch it. Just still watch it. Number 4, First Man. Now, First Man is essentially about Neil Armstrong and his entire process in the astronaut program from beginning to end. And it goes through the selection process, what he had to go through, his home life. And this isn't real footage. This is essentially a movie made about his life, but it also has Ryan Gosling in it. So Ryan Gosling is the bomb. As you can tell, he's one of my faves. But it is a great space movie because it gives you an insight into what actually happened with Neil Armstrong and that whole scenario. So in comparison to Apollo 11 was real footage, which was just them making their space mission. First Man is essentially like an autobiography of Neil Armstrong, played by Ryan Gosling. Number 3, Ad Astra. So Ad Astra essentially means to the stars in Latin. So I already went and thought, okay, if they're going to play with the Latin words, going to space, they better make a good, decent movie. And it's got Brad Pitt in it. And I'm not a massive Brad Pitt fan. And I think that's just because I don't know, he annoys me sometimes. I just don't know why. He just annoys me. But for some reason, I could actually sit through Ad Astra and be totally fine with Brad Pitt. I feel like he acted in it very well. So that's why it's at my number 3. Not just because of his acting, but because the storyline is actually very, very good. And it is very close to, not very close, but an interesting perspective of what someone thinks could happen in the future. And it's just, I haven't seen it before, and that's why I think it was so good. And it was made really well. And I don't want to say anything else because everything I can think of about that movie just spoils it in some way. But it is at number 3 on my list, so definitely a watch. Number 2, The Martian. So how could we go through a top 10 list without a movie without Matt Damon in it? Now, Matt Damon has been in a lot of space movies. And I kind of feel like America just has to stop saving him at some point. Essentially, it is about an astronaut, Mark Watney, who's played by Matt Damon, pretty much being left on Mars. And what he does to help himself get home. And it is a great movie. It's not entirely deep. There's so many comedic elements in it, which is amazing because Matt Damon pulls them off so well. And it's a hilarious movie to watch. It is a movie that you can watch over and over again and not. It's just really good. You can all the time watch it over and over again. But you know, it's just, I don't know how to explain it without giving it away. It's you just have to watch it to understand it. And there's a lot of space elements in there, and they do talk about a lot of technical stuff as well, but they say it in a good technical way, which gives a lot of people insight into what actually happens with space missions, which I think a lot of other space movies kind of, they either lack or they make up, and it doesn't actually make sense. So that's why I actually really appreciate some of the stuff from The Martian, because it is like a highly realistic movie to watch about everything that happens in there. So yeah, definitely if you're interested in space movies, have a look at The Martian, and if you want some comedic element, The Martian is the one for you. Number 1, Interstellar. Now, this is my all-time favorite space movie, and I absolutely love it to pieces. Now, Matthew McConaughey, perfect job. Anne Hathaway, perfect job. It is essentially about a man who used to work at NASA, and pretty much NASA got disbanded because the Earth was dying and people decided they needed food more than all these technological advances. And he's become a farmer, and essentially I don't know if it's giving it away, he does some space stuff for NASA to try and find them a new home, or try and find Earth a new home. So yeah, that's as much as I can possibly say without giving it away. But it's made by Christopher Nolan, so you know it's going to be a good movie because he's a mint director, like a really good director. So that's why it's my number 1. And yes, it does go for 3 hours. And yes, it may seem like a long movie, but no, it does not feel like 3 hours. It is worth every single minute of that entire movie. And the score of it is insane. Like, it is, I could listen to the soundtrack of that movie and just be happy with my life. It just makes me happy. It's a great movie. I love it that much. And there's a lot of people that I know that haven't actually seen it, which to me is crazy because it is a great movie. So Interstellar is on the top of my list and is a must watch. Definitely go and watch Interstellar. Okay, now I have 3 movies that did not make it into my top 10. But if you've seen all the movies that are on my top 10, then you might as well give these ones a go. So there's Life. So Life has Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's sort of like a space alien type of movie. Not my top 10 worthy, but still worth a watch if you've already seen the top 10. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now, this movie is, I think, not the first, probably the second space movie I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I think it was because my parents were watching it at the time. Like, I was really young when I saw this movie. It did make me scared of robots with a big light. But it was a good movie nonetheless, not in my top 10. It is essentially about a guy and a robot going to go find the mystery of the dawn of man or something like that. I haven't seen it in a while, but it is still a space movie if you want to watch something, and it was made in like 1968. So it's interesting to watch movies from back then and see what they thought space was like. Contact. Now, Contact has Jodie Foster, and this was the first sort of space movie that I was kind of shown when I was younger. And it is essentially about Jodie Foster's character getting these signals that come from an alien life form. They figure it out, and they have to build this big machine. And so it's not essentially them going into space. It's more about them getting information from space and doing something with it. And I think that it also plays on a lot of other scientific elements, and it's sort of not in the forefront, it's in the background. So it's really interesting, especially if you've done some sort of science degree or some sort of like aerospace degree, to actually watch it and be like, oh, hey, like, did they think about this? Or interesting how they played this. It's an interesting sort of movie that if you have done these degrees or these subjects, it's very interesting. If you haven't done any of them, like I know most people haven't, it is also a very good movie to watch, and I highly rate it. And they might be because I watched it a lot when I was younger because I loved it so much. But unfortunately, other movies have taken my top 10 list. So let me know what you thought of my top 10 space movies. If you have a movie that you think should have been in my top 10, leave them in the comments below. If I've seen them, I'll let you know. If I haven't, I will definitely go and watch them because I love space movies. Let me know what you think of my top 10 list, if you would swap any of them around as well. And please like and subscribe to my channel because, it'd be nice if you could help a girl out. So have a great day, guys. Enjoy your movie watching. See you later.